Hello, welcome to today's upload. Today we're going to look at the Edexcel GCSE drama, the component 3, the written exam, the design questions, which is C, designer. Questions on designer, we're going to look at what the question asks us to do, a couple of ideas of what we can include and what we need to do as revision. So it's Edexcel GCSE drama, component 3, theatre makers in practice, question C. Please like, subscribe and watch the other videos on my channel. I constantly upload one a day at the moment, and if you've got any requests of what you would like to be uploaded, please write in below or send me a message. So firstly, let's look at the question. It's a design question, C. It's worth 14 marks. The question is, there are specific choices in this extract for designers. Discuss how you would use one design element to enhance the production of this extract for the audience. Choose one of the following. It could be from a list of, usually it gives us 3 choices, but we could include set, lighting, sound, costume, stage, props. The staging question in red, as I say in all my videos, I would stay away from the staging question unless you're an expert on staging and that's your forte. Brilliant. If not, don't risk it. To me, the lighting, the sound and the costume. However, first point for revision and preparation for the drama exam, do not put all your eggs in one basket. And by that I mean, do not spend all your time revising costume. Sitting in the exam, costume might not be on the list on that exam paper. We know there will be 3, yet there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices. So there will be 3 of them choices, and out of them 3 that you are given, you must only choose 1. So you write on one skill, whereas previous costumes it asks you to include, and it gives you 3 points to include this, you choose 1. Okay, so let's look at a designer. The question say will always ask you to answer the question as a designer. We know that's coming, so we know what the question's going to say. A little bit like the English language AQA exams, we know what the question is, we don't know what the extract is. If you're doing a text such as in Inspector Calls, which I highly recommend, for the pure reason it's set in one scene in one location. Blood Brothers has several different scenes in several different locations. We don't know what the extract in the exam will be. So Inspector Calls, I think it is a lot easier because of just the one scene. There is a lack of scene changes, a lack of costume changes. So for preparation, it's quite a nice one to do. However, there's also obviously other benefits for some of the other players as well. They've all got the pros and the cons. Right, mark scheme. You will be marked on how your response demonstrates how the chosen element would be used to enhance the performance of the extract. Do not forget, we are given an extract and you are asked how you could use, say, costume to enhance the performance of that extract. So you must have that linked knowledge. We've talked about linked knowledge in previous uploads. The linked knowledge is the extract, the element, so in this case design skill, and then the context of the play. So we link the 3 together. That is what we need to be able to do to gain the higher marks. So it's a 14 mark question. You have to demonstrate very strong knowledge and understanding of the extract and the chosen element to gain the highest marks. So we need to look at the specific needs for the scene. So what is happening in the scene? Is there any mood or atmospheres, and how can you use maybe lights or sound or even costume to enhance the mood or atmosphere? Where is the character at? What is the character doing? So we look at the extract first, and from what is happening in the extract, use that to design your costume, your lights or your sound. So the advice, remember from section B questions, the director questions, you are specifically asked in section B, you are a director. Discuss your decisions, your choices. In this one you're a designer, you are the designer. So the key phrase, as we mentioned, is linked examples. Are your examples linked to the text? And your design ideas, do they show understanding of the style of the play? So Inspector Calls, is it naturalistic, Edwardian? Are you doing a contemporary play? Are you going to include, is it going to be Brechtian? Is it symbolic? So think about the style of the play. Now you can know this before you go in the exam because you know what your play text is going to be. You've studied it at school. So think, what is the style of the play? How will costume, light and sound help emphasize that? So an example. So this is taken for inspector calls, and we're looking at the costumes. So remember what we said, we are writing specifically. So I start with, as a designer I would use costume. As a designer, as a lighting designer, I would use lights too. So straight away I'm acknowledging what my skill is, what I am talking about. As a designer, I would use costume to enhance the performance. I would have naturalistic costumes fitting to the style and era of the play. The play is set in a middle-class home in 1912. The family are having a dinner party, and we are told in the stage directions they are a middle-class family. However, I would add elements of costume to enhance the characteristics of individual characters. For example, for Mr. Burling, he is presented as a wealthy, conceited character in the text. It's clear he likes to be in charge and likes money. This could be highlighted in his costume. I would dress him in, and then a detail of the costume, talking about what kind of clothes he would wear. Now, research on the Edwardian dress is important here. You could say I would dress him in a suit with a bow tie, with shiny black shoes. Yeah, well, that's probably quite apt and quite relevant. But for them extra marks, what were the suits called? What materials were the costumes? If you're talking about costume, what about the material? What about the colour? His costume could have a blue colour to highlight to the audience his capitalistic views. Blue is an associated colour. A gold pocket watch can be seen with a solid gold chain on show. Gold is a symbol of wealth and adds to the conceited characteristic. Time is also a theme, so the watch adds to this theme and is a constant reminder of time, and it is time for change. So with the costume, I'm showing understanding of the context of the play. I'm showing understanding of the characters and what the characters are doing in this scene. And I'm also justifying. So it's almost, think English language, point, evidence, explain. In my explanation, I'm justifying my choices and I'm linking it to the characters in the play. So when we think about design, so we'll say Inspector Calls, it doesn't have to be, it could be any play, but for Inspector Calls, we would look at the Edwardian design. What jewellery, hats, furniture, food, what wallpaper, what props, a cigarette holder, what was it called? A pipe, a walking stick with a silver handle. So think specific. Yes, we might say Mrs. Burling, she is a rich, well-to-do character, so we're going to flood her in jewellery. But what kind of jewellery? What jewellery did the Edwardians wear? There was lots of pearls. What kind of hairstyles? So the hairstyle, the women had lots of bobs. So think about the time period of your play and think about the theme and style of the play. The time period of the play, do your research, and the theme and the style of the play. Let's marry them together. If we're looking at lighting, it's important, remember, to show a clear understanding of chosen element. So with costume we talk about materials, we talk about colours. With lights, and here's a few examples. A flash of white light showing storm and danger approaching. Light blue wash to show early evening. Also blue symbolises capitalism. A light colour to show her innocence and naivety. So which character could that be who's talking? Colour blue to symbolise capitalism. Could be used in lights. Lighting when a specific character event is mentioned changes to dim wash or flash of lighting to symbolise and play on a specific theme. So specific moments, what lighting could you change and how would you change it? For our research for lights, we need to think about the keywords. We can talk about lights and we can talk about how it links with themes, and that's great, but we need that key vocabulary. So profile spot, a gobo, bright white spotlight, bright wash, dim spotlight, fractured gobo, flashes of white light, Fresnel, barn doors, side lights, front lights, general wash, crossfade and park hands. They're all key words, key vocabulary that link to lights. So have a collection of key vocabulary that you can use in your designer questions. If we're looking at costume, some examples. Naturalistic costumes to keep the genre of the play. Mr. Burling described as a hard-headed businessman, so his costume reflects this. High-class woman wore ivory accessories, so the female characters could have ivory hair clips. Lace was a popular fabric and design. Remember what we said about the key words, so fabric and design. It's a special occasion, celebrating engagement, so all dressed appropriately. Mrs. Burling, a pearl necklace shows her wealth, but she could fiddle with it and she's anxious as the inspector's questioning. So we can use costume as almost as a prop to highlight characters' feelings and emotions, so the actions of the characters can be shown by the use of the props and the costumes. Let's move on to set design. So when doing set design, One thing that we must remember with set design, and I suppose with costume, if we talk about Mr. Burling having a gold pocket watch, is this is a piece of theatre. It is not real life. So when we say Mr. Burling would have a gold pocket watch with a gold chain, I would always recommend maybe putting in brackets or somewhere, obviously this is a prop and not real gold, or a pocket watch made to look as if it's gold. It's painted with a gold paint to give the effect that it's a solid gold. So we couldn't afford in a theatre to have a crystal glass port glasses, a chandelier hanging. So we would have props, expensive cutlery and decanter, crystal glass port glasses showing wealth but also implying they're trying to impress Gerald, gold plated chandelier, a lavish set gold candlesticks on the table. If we're talking about candlesticks or fires, you might have a fireplace in your set design. Make sure you think about health and safety and mention, obviously it would be a fake flame. How could you make that fake flame? There's lots of creative ways and imaginative ways you can have a fire effect on a stage. Would it be through the use of lights and the gobo? Would it be with some kind of prop or paper or fan on stage blowing the paper, different coloured paper, so it gives the effect of flames? What about the use of sound? Could you have a speaker on stage giving out the crackling sound of a fire? A grand oak table centre stage. Dining table made of mahogany. Now this is where your research comes in. It's an expensive wood. What kind of wood, what kind of materials were the tables made of in Edwardian England? Believe it or not, when you do your research and find out there was different styles of furniture, different styles of materials used to make them as furniture. So it was mahogany wood that was used in Edwardian times. You could have the table messy at one end, contrasting to the perfect at the other end, showing the change in society, the riches are being knocked down. So we kind of metaphorically, symbolically using our set design to push the themes. The most important thing for design is your research. When we talk about the acting questions, you must research your performance skills. What is a performance skill? Remember from the earlier uploads, if you're talking about acting, it's the same with this section C. The key to the question is do your research. For example, if we're talking about costume, know your time period, your genre, your style. Use specific vocabulary chosen for your design element. If we're talking about sound, what's diegetic sound and non-diegetic sound? How could you use that? Know the themes, the context of the plays, the writers and the intentions. Do your research. Please like, subscribe, share. Any requests, any questions, I will gladly do my best to try and get back to you as soon as I can.